Hi, I'm Steve Adubato. For the next half hour, you're about to see a very interesting, compelling, and hopefully inspiring special. The 2020, that's right, 2020 Transplant Games was supposed to be played out in 2020, but happened to be in the summer of 2021 over at American Dream. The Transplant Games, thousands of people from across the country, living donors, people who have received organs from others who have lost their lives, the families of people who lost their lives but gave the gift of life to others, together with the New Jersey Sharing Network. They're the folks who drove this on the New Jersey side to get the Transplant Games to come to New Jersey. Thousands of people over at American Dream. People who are giving the gift of life, people who have received the gift of life. Right now, there are 4,000 people in New Jersey waiting for an organ, 110,000 people across the nation waiting for the gift of life, an organ, to go on, to live life the way you and I are. So that's why I wear this wristband right here, New Jersey Sharing Network, the 2020 Reimagined Transplant Games.
You hear the music behind me. This is, in fact, the 2020 Transplant Games right here at American Dream. The Reimagined Games. We're here with our good friend, Paul Jova, who joined us last time remotely. Paul, let people know why you're here and the legacy of your son, Andrew, and why that's so important.
Well, I'm here today to celebrate the life of my son, Andrew Jova. We were at the last games, and the impact that it made on my family and myself was immense. The outpouring of love and care that we got from people, total strangers, was so impactful that we decided that we'll never miss another game. And we're so glad to be here in New Jersey, our home state, to have this games and have an opportunity to meet more people and to see the recipients and feel that love that they have for us and see how their lives have been impacted by organ transplant.
You know, as you listen to Paul, last time we got to talk to Paul, we were remote, and he was just saying how great it is to be together. You see behind us the donor remembrance quilt. Andrew's not here, but it just represents thousands and thousands of donors who gave the gift of life. Andrew's quilt, if you will, the legacy, because I asked you this remotely, but to remind people, who was he and why was he such a great young man?
Well, Andrew was a 17-year-old young man waiting to get his driver's license, and he made a silly little choice that impacted the lives of my family forever. His quilt, we've seen it numerous times. It's traveled around the world now, and it's really just to keep his name alive. All these quilts, all these people have sacrificed the ultimate gift for someone they didn't know, and how it's impacted lives. Andrew, a great kid, a caring kid, a loving kid, and I know if he had the choice, he would have made that choice at the worst time in anybody's life.
I am going to sing the National Anthem. And you can see on my face, I'm like losing it. Yeah.
Because what's it like for you, 14 and a half years later, you're going to sing the National Anthem at the Reimagined Transplant Games. What's it going to be like, you think?
It was something I could not ever imagine when I did it for the New Jersey Sharing Network's 5Ks. And I just think that this is just going to be something over the top, because my donor, it's my donor singing.
Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and and the home of the brave.
Bill, you've been with us so many times. Talk about why you're particularly excited about today and this entire event.
Well, part of me feels like I'm home, and I don't live here. I live in Michigan, but we've been here now for almost 4 years planning these 2020 games, and of course, COVID got in the way of that, but we overcame that, and we're here today in probably one of the most magnificent settings that we could possibly be in to demonstrate the power of the organ donation and transplantation.
Let people know, I mean, you hear the transplant games. It's a big deal that New Jersey got this, that the New Jersey Sharing Network won, if you will. I don't know if it's a bid. I don't know. By the way, explain to folks what is the bidding process without going into the weeds, if you will, and also what are the transplant games for those who don't know?
Well, the bidding process is there's cities across the country that want us to come. And just like any other major event, they present their case, they pitch for it, and then we award it based on a variety of factors. We came here because we think this is the biggest population center in the country with a message for minority communities across the lake, the river. It's a river, right?
Yeah. Right across the Hudson River, right?
The river. And we bring people together for a message that's unheard of. We think we're going to be in front of 100,000 people this week.
Tell people, Bill, why you're personally so connected to this movement, this mission.
Well, I've lost 2 daughters in my life, and one was an organ donor. The other one couldn't be because of her condition, but it was something that was near and dear to her heart, and we inherited that from her. That was a gift from her to us, to give us the willingness and the love to be a part of this organization.
Stuart, why are you so excited about these transplant games?
So first, Steve, thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure to be with you. Really excited about the Transplant Games and the opportunity to really promote the mission of transplantation and the message of the need for organ donation to the general community. We have built over the course of many years one of the largest kidney transplant programs in the United States. When the pandemic really exploded in the New York metropolitan area back in the spring of 2020, we had to stop doing transplants for a few months. Just because it was not safe to bring our transplant patients into the hospital, and certainly our healthy living donors at that time. But since that time, we've resumed full activity, but it's very important that our transplant patients be absolutely vigilant about mask wearing and social distancing.
Rosemary, tell everyone why you're here and why this is so personal for you.
Sure. In 2003, I donated my kidney to my mom. So it's been important to me since then. I've been at the 2004 games, I've been to 2018 games. I'm a little disappointed about last year, but looking forward to the future and really being an advocate for living donors.
Now, we took a shot of your shoes. I'm looking down at them right now. Tell everyone what the message is there.
Just to show that I am a living donor, to make awareness that you can have a quote-unquote normal life as a living donor, that you can make a difference in someone else's life, and that organ donation is very important. We don't realize it until someone comes into our life that really needs an organ, and we see the necessity for it. And being part of Team Liberty and having the opportunity to meet all these people who have these unbelievable stories just makes me proud to be part of the team.
By the way, tell everyone what we're saying Team Liberty like everybody knows what Team Liberty is. Tell everyone what Team Liberty is all about.
Well, Team Liberty is a group of people who have some connection to organ and tissue donation. It encompasses living donors, recipients, donor families, supporters, medical professionals, and it's all just to really advocate for the importance of organ donation.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
All right, Elise, Glennon, how many years, for how long have you and the team at the Sharing Network, you and Joe Roth, we'll be talking to in a second, thinking and planning for these games?
It has been 5 years since we started talking about this back in Cleveland when the Transplant Games were there. So we started the idea there, and then we gathered our partners in 2017, a year later, and we all came together. And here we are finally, after the postponement from the pandemic, at the Reimagined Transplant Games.
Tell folks who may not understand what these games are and why they're so important, why they are so important.
You know, there's 4,000 people waiting for a transplant here in New Jersey and 114,000 nationwide. So we really wanted to bring the transplant games here to New Jersey to shed the light on that, make some bigger noise about that, get people talking about organ donation and thinking about whether or not they want to become an organ donor.
So as the sharing network information is right on the screen as I'm talking right now, the website, I always ask you this every time you join us. People go on the website. Other than finding out what the sharing network is doing, how can they access it so that they can find out more about, quote unquote, the gift of life?
They can go to our website at njsharingnetwork.org, and we'd like them to register. That's what we want people to do, register to be an organ donor. They can do that right on our website. It takes less than a minute, or they can go to the health app on their iPhone and register there. And what they're doing when they register is they are providing hope to the people that are waiting. And they also are honoring all of those people who have died and have given the gift of life before them. Our Quilts of Love program is probably one of the most special things that we do. Each quilt square was lovingly crafted by a family member, and you could see how personal and unique each one is, representing that person's life. So we have a chance to celebrate all that they did, right up until the greatest thing that they did right in their final hour, which was to save someone else's life. We have 35 of these quilts hanging throughout our building. At our headquarters.
Just at the sharing network.
Just at the sharing network, and there's a quilt program across the country. But when we have a donor family who loses someone, we do offer them the opportunity to make a quilt square rather, and then we have volunteers who put these quilt squares together. And today here at the Transplant Games, we have about 15 or 16 or so of our quilts on display for the public to see, because one of the promises we make to donor families is that we will continue their loved one's legacy alongside with them, and we will never forget them.
One more quick question. These Transplant Games, we're calling them the 2020 Transplant Games, right? We're here in July in 2021, the Reimagined Games, if you will. It's so interesting. There will be people who will sign up. There will be people who will get engaged and involved just because they're physically here at American Dream.
Yeah, we sure hope so. The Transplant Games is typically held in a convention center, and here we have this amazing opportunity. You know, I came here earlier this week. We were doing some setup. We walked into the building, and all of the digital boards throughout the property said the Transplant Games, said messaging about organ and tissue donation and the power of that gift.
What did that feel like?
It was amazing. I'm getting the chills telling you about it, which means our message has been up all week and it continues through the weekend. In Court A, we have a stage there with programming, all kinds of programming for kids and adults, and people are coming out who, like you said, have maybe never really thought about organ donation. So people are coming together, and then we're able to share that message with them. We're really excited about it.
It's a big deal.
It's a huge deal, Steve. It's a huge deal, especially after all of these years. And the fact that our partners, including you, have stuck with us through the cancellation, the reschedule, the postponement, and planning and replanning. But everybody stuck with us.
Takes more than a village.
It sure does, yes.
Congratulations to you and the team.
Thank you so much for being here with us.
Let everyone know, Matt, how you're connected to Team Liberty.
So I had a liver transplant about 9 years ago, and shortly thereafter I was introduced to Team Liberty, and I've been an active member ever since.
What do these games mean to you?
It's so exciting to have these games here in New Jersey, even though they're somewhat abbreviated. To have it at a venue is as big and as exciting as American Dream, and to be able to host it, that's really exciting.
Message to everybody watching right now who may not really understand and appreciate the, quote, gift of life of organ and tissue donation.
It's important to me especially, and really it should be important to anybody, because when you leave this earth, ultimately you've got active, very healthy organs that you can leave with people, people who really need them and who otherwise most likely would die without them.
We're here at the Transplant Games at American Dream. How pumped are you?
I'm fine. I'm so glad they're happening. It's been a while, 5 years in the making, so I'm ecstatic.
biggest takeaway when people come here and experience this? What do you hope happens out of these games?
Well, there's increasing the knowledge about organ donation and transplantation. The more people learn about it, the more people know that it's a righteous thing to do and will help increase donation and get more lives saved waiting on the list.
Say something about the sponsors, the people who have contributed to making this possible.
Well, we couldn't do it without them, obviously, and they've been just tremendous, even through the pandemic. The Barnabas, RWJ Barnabas Health and Hackensack Meridian Health and Pfizer and University Hospital and all the different sponsors.
You can get in trouble by naming them.
I know.
Even though we're going to show a logo, we're going to show a sign with all of those sponsors and underwriters. This is the question I want to ask you. The gift of life. We talk about it, the numbers speak for themselves in terms of the number of people who have been saved. But for you, you actually get close to these people, these family members who have lost a loved one who's given the gift of life, and others who've received the gift of life. As the CEO, but more importantly, just as a really good guy, how do you feel?
That's what gets me up every morning. You come to work, meet these people, work with them, realize that something we did helped save their life or save their loved one's life, or tragically someone died and these wonderful people provided the gift, and then they come and volunteer for us and become part of our family. I mean, it's tremendous. It's just tremendous.
You may ask, what is Team Liberty? Well, one of the stars of Team Liberty is with us right here, Elizabeth Stamler. We're here at American Dream. We're here at the 2020 Transplant Games. Tell everyone not just who you are, but how you're so personally connected to this team and this cause.
Thank you for having me, Steve. Yes, I joined Team Liberty in 2016. I was selected as the donor family to come that year, and I've been a member ever since. My brother Stephen passed away in 2009. He was a tissue donor, and I am also a 3-time recipient family member. So it's especially meaningful as a donor family to come to the games and see what recipients do post-transplant, how they live their lives to the fullest, and how they really treasure their most meaningful gift.
Your personal connection, you said the 3-time thing. Could you lay that out for folks? Because it's extraordinary.
Thank you. My dad received a heart transplant in 1988. My brother received a heart transplant in 2009. Unfortunately, now he currently needs a kidney. And I have an aunt who also received a heart transplant. So I've been touched on both sides by donation, which is why I got involved with the Sharing Network and led me to Team Liberty, and I'm so happy to be here today.
What do these games mean to you?
I'm so proud that we're the hosts. I wish we could have had the full-on games, but I'm really happy to be here. It's great to feel the energy in the transplant community. Everyone is so excited, and go Team Liberty.
To watch more one-on-one with Steve Adubato, find us online and follow us on social media.
Here we are at the 2020 Transplant Games right here at American Dream, the Reimagined Games, if you will, because they've had to be reimagined. And we're here with the gentleman who knows this place so well. He's Paul Ghermezian. He's an executive with American Dream. You were just telling me before we got on camera, how many years with this project, American Dream?
I've been here for a little over 10 years now, so it's been quite the adventure.
The idea of having the Transplant Games here at this location, all over here at American Dream, what does it mean, not just for the organization, but for the people who care so deeply about this mission of giving the gift of life?
Oh, well, I mean, there's no way really to put it into words. When you walk around and you see what this is all about, you get to meet the people, and really incredibly on both sides of the equation. I mean, you always hear often one story about somebody who received a transplant. You may hear a story about somebody who really sacrificed literally of themselves to save another life, and then you get to see them both together here, and that level of connection is something that personally I'd never witnessed or been able to experience, and to have that here and be a part of that and bringing that together, it's incredible. And the people who really brought it together, introduced us to that, thank you to them, the New Jersey Sharing Network and all those involved. I mean, they're incredible, and we're fortunate to be working with them to bring this to life.
Yeah. By the way, as you listen to Paul, you see the donor remembrance quilt. You'll actually see the website of the Sharing Network right here on the screen. This isn't a telethon, but it is an effort to let you know that there are thousands and thousands of people in New Jersey, many, many more across this country, waiting for an organ, waiting for the gift of life. And that's why we're here at the Transplant Games, the 2020. Now you may ask, why 2020? Well, it didn't happen in 2020. And even though we're here in 2021, that's what they in fact are, the 2020 Games. Let me ask you this. What has it taken for you and your colleagues to make the American dream a reality?
A lot of sacrifice, a lot of hard work from a lot of people, and I think an incredible vision from a lot of people. We managed to bring in a lot of unique and fun experiences, some that we have at our other properties, and some that we created from scratch. And taking that imagination from an idea in a room to paper to reality, it's a real team effort. And we're really proud of it, and you can see it. You walk around now after all those years and you see the looks on people's faces. The children, even from something as simple as standing by the fountain in our garden and throwing a coin in, which the proceeds do go to the Transplant Games for this month, or walking into the water park and watching families spending quality time together in the amusement park, or ice skating, or even skiing. I mean, there's just so much to do. And I think when people do come here and see that as well, they realize why it did take so long, because that's what I always get to.
We've been talking about American Dream. We've been talking about these Transplant Games for a long time. Why are you so excited about it, and what does it mean to you?
Well, first of all, we're so happy it's here, the time has come, but what it really means to me is two big things. One, the idea of us getting the message out to the world about organ and tissue donation and what it means to give the gift of life is an incredible message, and we're going to show a lot of people what that's all about this year. And then, you know me, every time we get a chance to highlight what goes on here in the Meadowlands, especially here at American Dream, we're all about this. We're in an unbelievable facility. It's just a wow factor for anybody that's coming as part of Transplant Games, and we get to showcase all that's going on here in the Meadowlands.
Talk about the Sharing Network.
Sharing Network, unbelievable organization. They came to us early on and said, would you partner with us to put a bid in for these Transplant Games? Unbelievably dedicated people that just work tirelessly for others. And the whole concept of making sure that we understand how important transplantation is and donation of organs and tissues is incredible.
You know, Jim, you have businesses that are members of the Meadowlands Chamber. But so many businesses, the logo also will be in a shot that we take. So many corporations, so many organizations sponsored these games, part of these games. What does it say about giving back? Corporations giving back.
Listen, corporate philanthropy has really been on a rise. It's really important. Every time a large company or even a mid-sized company comes to me, one of the first things they say, can you help me connect with the community? And that's one of the things we do really well at the Chamber, finding opportunities for employees of companies to get involved locally with all the not-for-profits, especially organizations like the Sharing Network. For volunteers, board seats, philanthropy, it's so important.
Final question, describe the Meadowlands Chamber for everyone.
Meadowlands Chamber is a business organization representing about 1,150 company members, economic development, business growth, job creation, and we're about recovering after this pandemic.
Thanks, my friend.
Thanks for being here.
You know, the 2020 Transplant Games, the Reimagined Transplant Games, so many people there. Well, one person we didn't get a chance to speak to on location, but we definitely caught up with because he's doing such important work is Dr. Michael Goldstein, who's director of the Division of Organ Transplantation and director of the Kidney and Pancreas Transplantation at Hackensack University Medical Center. Here's that conversation. Dr. Goldstein, let me ask you, the 2020 Transplant Games at American Dream, why does it matter so much, particularly to the transplant community?
The Transplant Games are a celebration of the opportunity for patients with end organ disease to celebrate a rebirth of their new function and a new life with their new organ. And at the same time, it celebrates the donors and the donor families that have been so gracious to donate these life-saving gifts to these individuals.
Describe the work at Hackensack University Medical Center, particularly as it relates to organ preservation and organ transplantation.
At Hackensack University Medical Center, we perform kidney and pancreas transplantation for adults and children. We are one of the few certified centers in the state of New Jersey to perform transplantation. And at our center, our goals are to improve the quality and the length of life for patients who are suffering from end-stage kidney disease through the opportunity of kidney transplantation.
Thank you, Doctor.
Okay, thank you very much.
I'm Steve Adubato. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation. Funding has been provided by Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, the Fidelco Group, TD Bank, PSC&G, the Healthcare Foundation of New Jersey, Fedway Associates, Inc., and by the Adler Aphasia Center. Promotional support provided by NorthJersey.com and Local IQ, part of the USA Today network, and by BestOfNJ.com,